How to find your money belief. Is money the root of all evil? Hi, I'm Dr. Lisa. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So, is money the root of all evil? How to find your money belief, your bottom belief, as I call it, your unconscious belief. Well, this is easy, and I'm going to give you a great story. So, Pete's Coffee Shop. You might not know it if you don't live in America or you don't travel through airports, but I used to love going to Pete's Coffee in California. One day, I got a bill in the mail from the IRS, and it was a huge bill, the Internal Revenue Service. And I couldn't understand it because I paid my taxes, I was not behind on anything. It didn't make any sense. And it was a large figure, and I was like, whoa. I felt that, sickness in my gut. And yeah, at that time, I thought money was evil. And I thought somebody was out to get me for sure. Not just the IRS, but how the hell was I going to pay that debt that I didn't even think was mine? So I didn't know what was going on, I was kind of in like a, what the heck? What the heck is going on? So I was on my way to work. Everything is better with coffee, so I stop at Pete's. I go and order my coffee, and I'd been there a time. They knew me, and they knew my order and whatever, and we had a camaraderie. Hi, how you doing? What's up? Da-da-da-da-da. And this time, I was very, rigid in my body, and I was kind of, frowning in my face, and they're not going to ask me about that, because we're just coffee comrades. And told them what I wanted, but I wasn't with my natural, just hey, how you doing? How you doing, right? And I felt shame, and I felt scared, and I felt anxious about that bill, which I didn't understand. And so I ordered my coffee, and I paid for it, but I felt bad for the $7 or $8 or $11 that I was paying for it. And I felt like, oh my God, I got this bill. Why am I buying coffee? $11 versus a $40,000 bill. Okay. So this is kind of what happens with money. And this is why people think money is the root of all evil. But the whole thing that's going on from when I got that check in the mail, or the bill in the mail, to coming to Pete's, it was with me. This yuckiness around money, you know that? I didn't leave a tip. I usually left $1 or $2, no problem, giving and receiving. And I didn't, because I had this bill to pay. And I wasn't happy when I was ordering my coffee because I had this bill to pay that I didn't even understand. And I put my head down in shame, didn't leave a tip, went over and waited for the coffee. And I didn't want them to call out my name, because I didn't leave a tip, or this whole thing, right? And I asked myself spontaneously, who am I being right now? And I realized in a certain way I was being my mother. Because she was always worried about money, and she was always anxious about money, and she always felt like we couldn't pay for this and that and the other thing. And she had her reasons for that, and the Depression era, and they lived very, not very wealthy or just getting by. And, but I was mimicking that of my mother without even knowing it, with this whole situation that I didn't even have all the information on. But I kept those $2 in my pocket to pay that $40,000 bill. Cuckoo, cuckoo, right? So, and then I asked myself spontaneously, what am I being right now? And I was like, well, I'm being penurious, cheap, greedy, hoarding my money, right? My $2, I want my $2. I think that was a movie. This was all before I got my coffee. And then I was like, what lie am I buying into? And I'm like, saving those $2 is going to make it easier to pay that $40,000 bill, because I already decided that I owed that bill, even though I knew I'd paid my taxes and I don't owe anything. You see how this is all, what lie am I buying into, that I had to pay that bill, that I couldn't give them the $2 tip, that I couldn't have any fun ordering my coffee, and that I had to stand there in shame being my mother. That's what people don't face with money, is the inner workings and the inner happenings. So I found a great way to make this stuff easy to start sensing every time I give you a task. You're dealing with something with money and it feels wonky. Who am I being? What am I being? What lie am I buying into? And then you'll find out whose financial reality you're living. And if money is the root of all evil is something you're living, I'm going to give you a little hint. It's genetic. It's not yours. It comes from somewhere else, but you're living it now, but you're not being you. So who are you being? What are you being? What lie are you buying into? These 3 questions just for a week. every time you interact with money and see what you come up with. It's not the root of all evil. You're being somebody else's reality, and you're buying a lie, and you're not being you. And whenever you're buying a lie, being somebody else and not being you, you're not going to create the financial reality that is you. Continue the conversation in the comments, like this, share it with somebody if you think they can benefit, and hit the bell to get notified of when I go live or a new video drops. Now go be great.